Okay, so next we have our project drop down. And right here we have it render current render node. If you terminology for the Terragen3, everything is created by node, and we can look right here in a node preset. And you notice in the renders, we have it our setup render. So it's meaning it's interesting approach to this, and I do like it. It gives you a lot of abilities, and I wish some application will kind of maybe copy this idea, because you can create a different presettings render, add them, and save it. So when you want to render very fast, you can select render node. You can go right here and render from this. So it won't render what you see in your view, but it will render presettings and renders that you created. Notice very fast we have our camera connecting to our render. And one option about the cameras with selected render, I'll need it to point this when we go from 3D view. But again, when you click on the render, just notice it's not will render what you see in your 3D view all the time. Okay, most time it will render different, and you kind of need to notice this. So next we have it populate. If you look with different populations, you can update need or force update. It's work if you have any populations updated. Bake animations curve. When you create animations inside the Terragen, mostly of them will create as a vector-based curve. By clicking Bake Animation Curves, it will create keyframe for every frame for animated objects. This is necessary when you export your project to another application that may not support the curved animations. So next we have Show Project Assets. If in a project you have any additional shaders, objects, everything, you will have it display in this window so you can browse, navigate, and control them. As well, when you have assets, you can take all these assets and add to the libraries. Libraries can be shared between different projects, so it's much easier and easier work on a large scale of animations or share with other maybe members in your team. That also you can purge undo memories. You notice the Terragen store quite a bit informations of undo when you delete objects and other things. And if for some reason you run a little bit lower in memories or other things, you can always purge this to release some resources to use in the future. Then next we have Windows, and this has allowed you to hide or come up with any windows. For example, if we have it additional open 3D preview and I click, this is may floating behind my application that is hard access in one or another case. If you have it, you always can go back to Windows and bring up front the window that hiding. As well, it will help you to find if you may have some windows that hiding on a back. This has kind of become important. You'll notice when we start moving, it's updating and re-rendered our preview window. If you have it 3 or 4, those windows is open, they all need updated. So it may take some resource on a video card to render on process node. You want to minimize this without using, so this will helpful. Next, we have our help dropdown, which allows to access online documentation in the wiki format. Mouse in key settings, that is another very important options. When you start work with Terragen, you need access, and I will stop this in a second after we'll go through all of this. We can next visit Planet site, the creators of Terragen on a web, check for update, add license key, reveal, and about Terragen information that will open and display just overall your application. So till I mentioned, let's look closer on mouse and key settings. This will important windows when you start working first time with Terragen. I highly recommend for you to open and familiarize yourself with some access. For example, if you extend 3D preview window right here where we have it, you can notice that default click, left mouse button, shift left mouse, and orbit and all of this. Some of them have a middle mouse button. If your mouse does not have it, those settings, we'll need go inside the properties and set here. We will look in a second how to access this. So overall, you will have it here keys and shortcuts and accessing through all your views and panels. How I say again, you maybe cannot remember all of them, but you can open this window if you have a dual monitors or other things, move away on another monitor, leave it there as your shortcut or cheat sheets. First, when you start working, till you familiarize and become common to all these presettings. So it's very useful, and I used all the time just to look up, and when I forget to specific applications, which key should work for this. So let's look on the preferences. My approach when I have a new applications, I always first things open preferences and look through the settings what I can customize to my likings. So I kind of prefer in specific way for my applications work. So the preferences sections is allowed me to do here. So let's go first, startup. We have a project creation. You can select from the file that you can see right now, or if you already have it in your preset, you can just load it from the file. Next, you have it override automatic numbers for the core detection. For example, right now I'm running on 6 cores, 12 virtual cores, so it's displaying right here. You can reduce amount, and this has become very helpful when you want reduce load maybe on CPUs if you work in Photoshop or other applications same time, and you don't want a Terragen just to bring all your system to the still till it's working on this. The next we have an animations button, which allowed us animations button showing in a new animation window what we have it, or load panels. It's just how you want to preview this. Set search folders, you'll notice right here I have it my custom, and my applications even install, for example, on a main drive. I may have it my network or backup drive or other ways where I have additional assets, and I can add those folders to my Terragen. So when it's loading objects, it will look for some missing files or for additional assets on the folders that you specify. To add, you just click add folder, specify locations, and will add in your search folders. It will allow the Terragen access faster, but if you have too many of them, it will slow down performance of your applications because Terragen need go on each place and look up there. We have it file saves format by default. You always can change when you're going in your render options or renders nodes preset. However, here is you can set your default settings, allow the backup, type of the file you want save, project, so it's self-explanatory, as well as set your path for the file setting. So we have our generals, show special tool tips. Again, if it's become annoying for you, you can remove it, but as you start work with Terragen, I highly recommend this, leave it enabled. You can restore node panel in Windows and startup. This does help when you accidentally open or close it. Remember, all of these windows, you can go inside the view, and if you accidentally close 3D preview or other windows, you can go inside the view, open there, or just click on some buttons. Okay, input, you can notice right now I have it universal select. However, if you specifically want set to 1 mouse, 2 mouse button, 3 mouse, you can say my universal, because I have a scroll middle button at clickable, so it's kind of allowed me to more customizations and flexibility. So it's set as input universal, and right here it's where you can also specify for your buttons when you start clicking previews. Interface color, so you can preview for animated keyframe, 3D preview camera path. You can specify, again, blue is by default. The libraries, you can enable to automatically add to the library when you open clips, images, projects, high fields, and objects. How does it work? For example, if I enable image and I open this image as a texture inside the shaders, this is image from will add to my library that is allowed me in future use. However, If you don't want to share those for the future, you can leave unchecked, and by default is unchecked, so you don't clutter your library. But if you want, you can enable, and it will automatically keep updating your library. Okay, and also you have add assets to the library. When you save it, when you save projects, it will take all those libraries, assets, sorry, and add them to your library. You also can advance clear previews or delete library database. And this way you can reset it if it's growing a little bit too big. Okay, next we'll have navigations that allowed you to show navigation panel and 3D preview. It's right here in our corner. We'll look on this when we start looking on 3D preview window or view. They also use it customize. It's if you have it for the slowest navigations, because some of the minimum you can set, and I'll show you where we can navigate this. But remember, if it will be still going too fast, you can make even smaller and fine tune those navigation speed around here in navigation sections. We have a show compass, which is on top right here in 3D preview. And again, if you don't worry about that much, you can remove it, but I do recommend keeping this, at least as informational tools. Show compass in a high field shade preview by default. Again, this is disabled. If you want, you can enable and see it. We also have a compass style, headings, or 3D axis, and you will see this is well modified. I'll leave it for now as a headings, and we'll change this when we'll start to look on this window. Next, network view. It's downstairs, down here, down applications, network node views. Smooth text when we preview, so it's just add extra anti-aliasing. Same smooth line. Clip center node on a node list. So when you click on a node list, you can notice it's kind of center them and adjust to specific, so you can jump a little bit faster. Okay. For example, Windows disappears, so I can go back right here and click, or let's go to preferences this way. Okay, next we have render. On render completion, do nothing or beep notify if you, for example, render and background. And many times for the tutorials, I just disable beep, but I do recommend for you enable beeping, because with the Windows, many times you render and window will render will separate the window. And beautiful things of Terragen that allowed you to work and continue work till you render still in process and background. So many times maybe you don't know you done render till its notification. So I do recommend for you to enable, at least on the beginning, the enable beep on the when rendered. You also can enable stop screensaver and sleep mode, and automatically save all renders. These two options I do recommend for you to enable till you feel familiar and with this application. Automatically save all renders. It's allowed you after render will save when a render is completed. Minus of this, it's may create temporary render till you have your finished rendering. So be sure if you want just save your final render, you come in properties and enable. The reason is why you may have it after update or other things enable on your machine, and even your applications finish rendering in just one of the scenario. Your machine restarted, and without automatically save this render, you will lose the render even it's completed, because maybe you're not by your computer at that time. Screensaver and sleep mode. Sometimes machine may go in a sleep mode and overriding even you using CPUs, so your render will stop process. So this one you can enable or disable, it's up to you. And a screensaver most time originally was done as a protect CRT monitors from burning in, and currently they may was enabled as well as power savings. With the LCD panels, it's not a big issue for the burning in, it doesn't have it, but you may, if you're concerned about power use for your screens, or you may want enable or disable. And of course we have it software updates. We can update now or automatically check for the updates. On the bottom we also have it reset panel to the default. If for accidentally you did modifications, don't remember, not like it how it's modified, you can reset it. Closed, accepted, and closed panel. You also have it more information for each options that you may select it and try to find out kind of what they do as well. Okay, so let's close this one and let's look closer now tutorials on next view panels.